Throughout the years, people have said that handheld gaming is just gonna go the way of the dodo, that consoles will eventually become PCs and handhelds will eventually become smartphones. And I am happy to say that those people are pretty wrong right now. And with everything coming out within the next year, if you want a handheld device that's not a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck, you probably can find something. We're going to be discussing 4 new gaming handhelds coming out next year, or end of this year, and just how awesome it is to be a portable gamer these days. So let's discuss. Hello and welcome. My name is Wolfie. You're watching GreaterThanPie, and today we're going to be talking about gaming handhelds. So I think that we should probably start with probably the most infamous right now, and that is the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld device. So it came out of nowhere. Logitech announced it. It's officially launched. Linus is doing a video on it, and well, I mean, listen to these specs. It's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G. 64 gigabytes of internal storage with a micro SD card for expansion. It is a 1080p screen with IPS as the panel type, and it runs at 60 hertz, and it has a touchscreen. Dual band Wi-Fi 2.4 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz, so not Wi-Fi 6E, and Bluetooth 5.1 with the cost of $349.99. Logitech. The reason that this is such a problem is this device right here. It's practically a smartphone. It's not going to be great. And I think that my Pixel has a higher resolution screen than this. And at $349.99, it's just really costly. Now, Linus is doing a whole video review on that. We'll be looking forward to seeing that. Now, what's interesting about the G Cloud is what it's supposed to be used for. It's in the name, cloud gaming. Now, what's particularly weird is Stadia is now dead, and they're really only talking about, well, Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass. Now, I'm not going to say that that's going to be a bad gaming experience. I have used Game Pass in the past in this way, and I'm actually working on a video talking about Android gaming in general. And I believe this does actually use an Android operating system built from the ground up by Logitech. But at the same time, at its price, it's going to be facing some stiff competition, particularly by another device that is also coming very, very soon by Razer. That's right, the other peripheral company that everybody talks about other than Corsair, Razer. Now, Razer is launching the Razer Edge. Yes, the namesake of their weird Windows tablet that was actually just a laptop in tablet form before everybody else was doing it. This one, though, is not going to be running Windows, and I'm kind of disappointed about that. It will be running Android. And what's particularly weird about this one is it looks like it's just a smartphone and a Razer Kishi slapped together, because you can remove the Razer Kishi portion just without the ability to make phone calls. But unlike the Logitech one, you can actually put 5G in this thing. Of course, that will be at a higher cost. And the specs of the Razer Edge absolutely trounce the Logitech one. So we're looking at a screen resolution of 2400 by 1080, which, as opposed to 1920 by 1080, it's that's a few more pixels. It's an AMOLED screen with 144 hertz refresh rate. Yeah, it's got a little bit more pixel density on the wide end, same height density, but that's fine. It's got 8 gigabytes of LPDDR5, a Qualcomm Snapdragon G3 Gen 1. It has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with the ability to do up to 2 terabytes on a micro SD card. Very similar there. Wi-Fi 6E, which is an upgrade. Bluetooth 5.2, again, an upgrade. And yeah, it cost $399. Yes. Yeah, for $50 more, you get that much more of a system. And unlike Logitech, which has a lot of their branding centered around using exclusively cloud streaming services, Razer has designed this device so that you could use it much like a cell phone if you had to. And this is coming from experience that Razer has. When they had the Razer phone, which I own the Razer phone too, there was a big push to have integrated button mapping. Unfortunately, so many games got smart to that it became a difficult feature to sell on, and they started removing it and backpedaling. Even more so, the operating system has to be like custom tailored to do it in order for you to have that remapping work properly. So because of that, Razer designed their Android gaming device, which is competing against Logitech's gaming device, with the idea that you could use it more like a traditional smartphone if needed. But I hear you. These are cool and all. But where is our jaw-dropping, absolute switch-trouncing upgrade? Well, if Pimax gets their way, it will definitely be the Pimax Portal. Now, I'm gonna just warn you right now. Pimax is a company that I like what they make. They make really cool stuff. They actually make VR headsets with the highest resolutions out of any company, with some of the highest refresh rates and definitely some of the widest field of views. Their headsets look pretty cool, but they have a really bad track record of launching on time and also some issues with software support. They haven't really, finished anything. So take everything that I say about this company with a grain of salt, because right now this product's on Kickstarter. It's already been funded, but if you want to get into the early bird pricing, do it at your own risk, because Pimax might not actually deliver. Though I think they've been pretty good about refunds. So what is this thing that I've had to put so many disclaimers in front of do? Well, it has a Qualcomm XR2 processor, which is already, if you know VR, going to raise some interesting flags. 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes to 236 gigabytes of storage, depending on the model you get. Screen resolution. Are you ready for this? 3,840 by 2160. Yeah. That is 4K. This thing is running 4K at 144 hertz. Kind of nuts. Now, do I think it can run that? Do I think it can push that? Absolutely not. Especially because it is going to be running a modified version of Android. But it's pretty cool. It does also have Wi-Fi 6E. So yeah, I mean, we don't know when this thing's coming out, but that is some pretty impressive hardware. Now, there's a second model also launching at the same time called the Portal QLED. So this is just a QLED version. It has the same resolution screen, same refresh rate, same storage options, except this one by default comes with the 236 gigabytes of storage and just a QLED screen. Now, pricing though, and this is where things get interesting, pricing for this device are all over the place. So it's $299 for the base model, but that's the Kickstarter price. And then it goes up to $349 after the Kickstarter pricing is gone. That's not bad. For what they've got here on paper, that's kind of ridiculous. If you want 256 gigabytes, it's going to be $399 and then $499 after the Kickstarter ends. The QLED is going to be $549 and then $699 afterward. But Pimax is a VR company. And because of that, this thing has the most interesting feature I've seen so far. And this is why the screen has to be so high resolution, because it's going to be per eye 2K resolution, because you can dock the Pimax Portal into a VR headset rig, take the controllers like a Nintendo Switch, plug them into your controllers, and then it becomes a VR headset with the same processor as a Quest 2. Yeah. If they could pull this off, this thing, I'm waiting till retail. I'm not going to pre-order, but if it does hit retail, I will definitely be paying the $549 for the VR headset and the base unit. It's $449 with the Kickstarter price. And then if you want the upgraded models, it's $499 and $649 and $599 and $799, respectively. So if this comes out, Pimax, I will buy one. I will buy one. I will test it. It looks crazy, but at the same time, I also know not to trust Kickstarter campaigns. Plus, I can't really just throw around money and allocate things to things that may not ever happen. So, if it comes out, it's going to be really, really cool. So now we've talked about a gaming handheld that might never come out, one that's about to come out, and one that did just come out. How about one that's already been out for a while that does exactly the same thing as the G Cloud Wireless? Right now, you can pick up a device called the Odin. It's got very similar specs. Qualcomm Snapdragon SD 845. I think that's a little bit older. It does also list a GPU of an Arduino 630. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. I'm not exactly sure. It's got 4 gigabytes of LPDDR4X to 8 gigabytes of LPDDR4X. 1080p screen, goes 64, 128, and 256 gigabytes of storage. Very similar Wi-Fi module of 2.4 to 5 gigahertz and Bluetooth 5.1. The thing about it, though, is the price is only $239. For the Pro model, it is $287, and then the Pro with 256 gigabytes is $328. Pretty affordable, looks really nice. When compared to the Logitech for, $349, you might as well pick this thing up for $100 less with mostly the same specs. And it could just as easily do the cloud streaming thing. Also, interestingly enough, and this is one of the reasons why I might pick up an Odin, they do advertise having OS-based key mapping, which could make the Odin an actually really good gaming system. Additionally, from the same company, they are going to be releasing the Loki. The Loki is a little different, though. This is a Windows/Ubuntu one, and it's definitely going to be a Steam Deck competitor because its pricing is supposed to be $489 for the base model, $579 for the mid model, and then $649 for the top model. It's going to be using an AMD Zen 3 6600U, LPDDR5, 8 to 16 gigabytes, 128 gigabytes to 512 gigabytes of internal storage with micro SD card expansion, Wi-Fi 6E, and a 1080p screen. So it'll have a slightly better screen than the Steam Deck for a price that's not too dissimilar. Of course, though, you could also right now pick up an Aya Neo Air, which will only cost you $549 depending on the configuration that you do. And just for a reminder, the Steam Deck is $399 for the base model, $529 for the mid model, and $649 for the top model. So as you can see here, at least in the case of the Loki, they're pretty much fighting for very similar pricing across the board, which is actually really cool. So kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, there's just so much in the portable gaming market that's coming out. And I do find that I may have been a little bit harsh on Logitech, but and this kind of goes for Razer and even really the Odin as well. Why would I pick those devices up that run Android over this that runs Nintendo's custom operating system and has Nintendo games and actual games on it? Or this, which runs my Steam library just through Linux? The Loki seems promising because it can actually run Windows, and I'm very interested in that. And the Portal is interesting just because of how out there weird it is. And if I were to try any of these Android premium gaming consoles, I probably would do either the Edge or more than likely the Odin. And the Odin is just interesting because that price is so competitive. Now, I have seen people talk about the Odin in the past. They said the build quality is pretty good. So it's interesting. Everything about this is just interesting. So here's what I kind of want from you guys. Which one of these handhelds would you pick up? I personally have the Loki on my radar, and I have the Portal on my radar. So maybe at some point, but I have a very, very expensive PC build that I need to do first. And let's just say all of my resources are going to be allocated to that for the near future. But that's where we're going to end today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can leave it a like, maybe comment, subscribe. I do content like this all the time. I'll see you in the next video. Wolfie, out.